Yeah! Right, so we're back. Episode 1, Don't Mess with Jim, of the new season. We are live and exclusive, maybe not that exclusive, at the Wolfpack Bar, Lonsdale Road in Queen's Park. So if you want to come down, have a beer, watch the World Cup will be on. You might not want to be drinking beer when the World Cup's on at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning. But either way, you should come down. It's pretty cool. And I've missed you. Have you missed me? Probably not. But I'm back. Had an eventful summer, which I needed. I needed a break. I was all rugged out by the end of last year, but moved house again.
Bloody hell, Jim. Where have you moved to this time?
I'm back. I'm back in the mixer. I'm not going to say where I am, but it's in the kind of London vicinity, if you like. House number 13 or 15. Anyway, I've moved a lot. Had a good summer though. Went fishing. That was the only holiday I've had. Fishing. Does that sound like a holiday?
Depends if you caught any fish or not.
We did catch some fish. We caught some brown trout in the Highlands of Scotland, and I plugged them on the podcast. I'm going to plug them or it or the country again. Scotland and the Highlands. If you get an opportunity to go up there and spend some time, as long as it's not horizontal wind and rain, it's one of the best times you'll ever have. So you can fly direct into Inverness, an hour north of that, head to a place called Bonner Bridge, or Bonner Bridge, if you're from Scotland, and just find some lochs and lakes, and you can fish. You probably need a permit, but hey, there you go. Just go and hang about up there. So that was pretty good. Didn't go on holiday. No, got scarred by taking the 4 kids on a plane back in April. So until they are at least 15, we ain't going on holiday again. Well, I'm going to go on holiday. Me and the wife might go on holiday, but we're not taking the kids, unfortunately for them. What else? Bit of old news, but I'm going to share it with you all because I know that you all are thinking about me and have been worried about me. Was due to have an operation this week. Spoke about it on the podcast with my partner in crime, Andy Good, and the weird fish, Andy Rowe. Thyroid disease. I've got something wrong with my thyroid, which is under your Adam's apple, which I've never even known existed until about 2 years ago. So I've been struggling with that. Was meant to have surgery this week. I've decided against it, and I'm going down an alternate path. You can't preach to the choir and not do it yourself. So changed my diet. I'm doing what's called a low iodine diet. Iodine, what the hell is iodine? I have no idea, but anyway, I can't eat it or drink it, so I can't drink milk, dairy products, can't eat fish, and I love fish. I love the Highlands in Scotland, can't eat them. So I've eaten all this stuff that I'm making from scratch. I'm taking CBD oil again from Pure Sport CBD. Shout out to them because they've sorted me right out. And I've got some new clobber. So as well as all that, I've got some new clobber this year. I walked in, Rob said to me I looked like a referee. I had no idea what he meant, and then he said the NFL. I thought I looked pretty sharp until he mentioned that. So get me a haircut tomorrow, and then I will be right as rain. I'm a new man. We're into a new season. And you talk about being all rugged out last year. This year is where it's going to be full-on ruggers. The World Cup is about to start in about 4 weeks' time. Woo! Excited?
I'm very excited.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Is anyone heading out to Japan? You heading out to Japan?
Fortunately not, no.
Yeah, it's interesting, eh? Japan's an interesting place. Never been. Would like to go for the World Cup. I'm not too sure, but I know there's a lot of fans going out there. And I need to give a shout out because we are doing this show for RugbyPass, and RugbyPass want to talk about it. And so we should. And you'll want to hear about it because it's going to make your lives easier. If you're heading to Japan, and I know there's a lot of you out there that are, if you are, and I really want to go, you need to get yourself an East Rail Pass, a Japan East Rail Pass. And what they're doing is they're doing like 5 days. They're doing like a 5-day thing where you get a 5-day pass and you can go sightseeing around Japan. Now, I've heard Japan is an unbelievable place. Never been myself. Would love to go. Of course I would. But yeah, you can basically head to the link that you can click on. It's about here, somewhere on the screen. Head to that and you'll see what you can get. 5-day pass on Japan East Rail. Sound. Talking to Japan, it is then. It's here, 4 weeks, it's come around quick. You know, I nearly played in the last World Cup, nearly. I did all the training, didn't go. But I've played in World Cups and they are absolutely amazing. And I think the longer I've been retired, I actually realise how good it is playing in World Cups. Played in France in 2007 and 2011 in New Zealand. So I'm excited for this one. I really, really am. Who's going to win it?
What game are you looking forward to the most?
What game am I looking forward to most? Out with Scotland playing Ireland, who I think they can win that in Pool A in the first game. What about New Zealand, South Africa, first up? That's going to be massive. Who's going to win the World Cup?
I reckon they could. The next time they'll play each other could be the final.
You reckon? So Rob's back, by the way, in case we ain't going to see him. But if you're hearing a voice in the background, Rob's back, filming and kind of facilitating me and just giving me any kind of knowledge that I need. And you think it's going to be a New Zealand, South Africa final?
I think it could happen.
If you paid me £1 million, I would not be confident on getting another £1 million return. So 50. So basically, I'm not a betting man, so I can't work it out. If I had £1 million, I would not bet on any team to win this World Cup. I have no idea who's going to win. New Zealand now look beatable. Ireland, 60 points against England at the weekend. Well, it was 50 odd, but effectively 60. Struggling. Unfortunately, I love Ireland. Wales, they went to the number 1 team in the world. Does that mean anything? Augusto Pichot, don't think it does. I don't think it does anyway. Wales went to number 1 in the world rankings. I'd love to see Wales do it. That's the next evolution for them, but I can't see Wales winning the World Cup. I just can't see it.
I think Fiji are going to upset some people in the pool stage.
You do. Yeah. Talking of pool stages, we're going to break it down. Chicka-woo! Let's have a look at the pool. Just if you are watching and don't know who's in whose pool, I'm going to tell you. Pool A, my pool, Scotland's pool. And they're with Ireland, they're with the host nations Japan, Russia and Samoa. The only teams, if you're a Scotland fan or Ireland fan, you'd be worried about in the pool, unfortunately for Samoa, is Japan. Japan are all guns blazing. They are an emerging nation of keen rugby players, and we saw what they did at the last World Cup. They beat South Africa, and that's put Japan on the map. Russia. Do you see what happened to Russia?
Got beat by Jersey.
Got beat by Jersey. By Jersey, who are a championship team, full of good lads who love the piss. But who's in Russia, in Moscow, however you want to say it? How have they gone over to Russia and beat them?
Well, people forget that Russia weren't even meant to be in this World Cup.
Russia weren't meant to be in the World Cup, no.
So they're not even kind of the bottom team going into the World Cup. They're 2 below the bottom team going into this World Cup.
It's getting all political now. So for me, the big games in there is Scotland, Ireland first up. Whoever's going to win that game, or whoever loses that game, Japan are going to target like a good one. I think Japan, being the host nations, they've picked their fixtures out of there, and I think that what they're looking at is that first game, Scotland versus Ireland. They think Ireland are going to beat Scotland. That's what they're thinking. Nah, I don't think so. I think Scotland can win that game, and therefore Japan have got a chance. They really have. And it's the top 2 teams out of the pool that go into a quarter-final mix. So that's Pool A. Obviously, I'm very biased. I do like that one. But Pool B, Rob mentioned it there. New Zealand, South Africa. First game in that pool. And we've seen who have New Zealand struggled against recently. South Africa look bloody good. They've got an identity back. They're now picking players that are in form from all over the world. Mostert at Gloucester, Faf de Klerk, Schalk Brits, who's about 53 now at Saracens, who retired for a week and has come back out. Eben Etzebeth, who's been running around, looks like he's been trying to shoot tramps in South Africa. Has he? I don't know. Either way, he's a good player and he's in the team. You've got Steyn. Cheslin Colby is one of my favourite players. And New Zealand now look beatable. They really do. They just don't look the same team. Maybe they've not shown their full hand. Maybe this is a smart ploy. Put Bowden Barrett at 15, Richie Mwanga at 10. Maybe that's not what they're going to do in the World Cup. Brodie Retallick, I called it on social media. Looked like he dislocated his shoulder. He did dislocate his shoulder. He's touching cloth whether he's going to be back. And they're banking on that he is for the last stages, and that's a smart decision. But Pool B, they've got Italy, Namibia, who I love, Jacques Berger, of course, and Canada, who are emerging properly. Pool B is a foregone conclusion for me. New Zealand, South Africa, it depends what order they're going to top that pool. Pool C, A lot of people are going to be interested in that because England are in that pool with France, Argentina, USA and the Tongans, who again I love. France look good.
Off one game.
I'm going visually how they looked. They looked visually fit. And they obviously smashed Scotland, 35 points in that first game. In Paris, Scotland were absolutely abysmal. But Scotland beat them in the return leg last week. But France looked good, to be fair. Looked well drilled. Fabien Gaultier, who I'm not a fan of, but clearly doing a half-decent job with them. They're going in the right place. I don't know whether this World Cup's for them, but their under-20s have won the World Cup the last two years. And, that's a tough pool. You've got Argentina. You've got three good, you look at Pool B, New Zealand, South Africa, there's no real competition. Pool A, Scotland, Ireland and Japan. But this pool with Argentina, France and England, someone's going to slip up there. There's going to be a big team missing out. Argentina haven't been great, let's be honest. But they've got Juan Figalo, my old teammate at Saracens in there. For me, England, France will top that pool, but in what order, I don't know. France got a big performance in them. We know they can blow hot and cold, and when they are hot, they are very, very hot. So England are first up against Tonga, and Pool D. Foregone conclusion for me. Rob doesn't think, because they've got Fiji in, along with Uruguay, Georgia, Australia, and some people's favourites, Wales. So if you're thinking Fiji are going to cause an upset, conditions are probably primed for them.
I was going to say, I honestly reckon just the climate, the conditions, Fiji will just be way more used to it than the Welsh. Potentially. The Welsh have been out in Turkey. We had Ross Moriarty on the podcast that I do, the Rugby Pod, and he said that basically they've all been in hibernation because it's 40 degrees. The conditions are going to play a part, definitely. For me, Wales, I've said it before, I'll say it again, this is the next evolution for Wales. They've won the Six Nations loads, Grand Slams, British and Irish Lions littered across their team. They've got an unbelievable captain, Alan Wynne-Jones. They've lost Anscombe, who's going to be big for them, but I'm a bigger fan. George North, has he been firing? We know he's a big game player. Jonathan Davis in the centre. Parks as well. They've got Liam Williams. The names are now rolling off the tongue in terms of the quality that they've got. Question mark is, can Wales do it in a World Cup? They've made a semi before. Australia in their pool. They've beaten Australia, but they've never beaten New Zealand. Am I right in saying they've never beaten New Zealand? Or they've not beaten them in 1952 or 56 or something like that.
They've not beaten them since 1950s. They've effectively not beaten New Zealand. So, going to be an interesting one, that. But for me, I'm a bit different to you. I think Wales and Australia will come through that comfortably. A lot of ruggers. A lot to dissect. There's been a few warm-up games being played. I mentioned the Ireland game against England the weekend, getting 60 points put on them. Few changes in that team, I'm sure. Sexton potentially going to come back, but I don't know. No one's talking about Ireland now. Spoke to Stephen Ferris yesterday. In the World Cup, they've struggled in the past. He spoke about 2007, where he went. They did nothing. Don't think he played. 2011, they thought they were going to go all the way, having beaten Australia in the pool stages, and they got beat by Wales in the quarterfinals. So Ireland, for me, it's a tricky one. They have literally fallen off a cliff. And the whole Sexton thing, and apparently Johnny Sexton's not happy with me because on the podcast I said that he wasn't up to the level, he's injured and stuff, which he has been, he is. But looking at that game at the weekend, it's poor burn at 10, playing against an England team like that. England look great though, don't they? How good do they look?
England, yeah. They if they don't make it out the pool this time, then there's some corruption going on somewhere.
England are going far. If they can keep Owen Farrell, Manu Tuolangi fit without stating the obvious, they have got so many players to choose from. And we've seen Mako Vunipola is out, injured for the final warm-up game, but he's going to be back. The list, I could sit here and name Sinclair, Itoje. I'm not going to name them all. Cruz, Laws, Underhill, Curry, Vunipola,
Aldershot, Bracknell. I've got a Didcot, Yateley. Winnersh, Taplow.
Nine's an interesting one. If they're a little bit thin on the ground, a little bit of controversy. You know, look at the ball carriers. Slade, once he's fit as well. Thokanasiga. I mean, they have got a chance. England, for me, on paper, albeit potentially the youngest squad if they win it, to win a World Cup, I think their average age is 25 or something like that. But they look brilliant. But World Cup, enjoy it. Anyone going to Japan, I might see you there for the big games, the semis and the finals. Come on, Scotland. So my favourite part of doing Don't Mess With Jim last season was the social media post of the week. I really enjoyed that. Got a bit of interaction. Been scrolling through, it's not a lot. A lot of people go into hibernation until it kicks off. But some things I have been enjoying over the recent weeks. And it started in the New Zealand game, actually. It really did. It really did. Jack Goodhue in the centre for New Zealand. Mullet man. I mean, who wears a mullet these days? But for me, I thought it looked bloody brilliant. But there's been a lot of talk everywhere. There has. Jacob Stockdale, the horse. What is he doing with a perm? What are you doing? He's listened because he shaved it off now. It's gone. It's gone. You can't rock into a game against England at Twickenham wearing a perm and then getting 60 points put on you. So that's gone. Stuart Hogg, Darcy Graham, peroxide blonde hair. They go to France in Paris, get the pants pulled down, shave your hair off, shave your hair off. Okay, Hoggy looks a different man, plays a different way, and they win the game. So I started scrolling through the archives of horrendous lids of years gone by. And I should say there's a few good ones out there. So my ideal hairstyle would be a Sonny Bill Williams. I had one when I went to New Zealand for him, basically. I went in and said, I'll have a Sonny Bill. Came out, I looked $1 million. John Cooney for Ulster. The Irish scrum half who's been dropped, bizarrely. Didn't even play. Anyway, hell of a lid. Looks unbelievable. Beautiful looking man. But I looked through the archives of some horrendous ones, and then we'll come on to my social media post of the week. Joe Marler. Not the mohawk. The mohawk looks a bit weird anyway, and his Japanese tattoos. But do you remember when he had sausage shaved in the side of his head? Yeah. What the hell? Who gets the word? I mean, sausage is a weird word anyway. Who gets that in the side of their head? Weird bloke. Adam Jones. Found this in the archives. Braids. He's got a great lid. That big bushy thing. Who gets braids? Well, Adam Jones did. Brian O'Driscoll. Rugby royalty. How dare I? How dare I even mention this? Do you remember Lloyd Christmas from Dumb and Dumber? Oh, right, yeah. You don't, do you? No, I do. Oh, you do? Yeah. The square head. Yeah. Found a picture of him like that. Looks absolutely horrendous. There was a couple of more, actually. Tamana Harrison. Tamani, is that how you say it? Taimani Harrison, the Northampton back row, played for England as well. He had like a dreadlock skinhead. Horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. James O'Connor, he's back for Australia. What a player. What a shit hairdo. He had a top knot. I mean, a top knot.
I'm pretty sure he got the cornrows.
He did. He got the dreads or cornrows. I don't even know. I'm not even that. Maybe it's me. You know, I've not got a great lid. I've got very bushy, slightly thinning head. But this week, I think it was Rugby Memes. Now, I don't know who this guy is. You're going to see a picture of him. You are going to see a picture of this guy. Can someone please reach out and tell me who he is? Bold, headband, and like a kind of dread thing coming out the bottom. It looked absolutely legendary. And I've abused all the guys before, but for some reason, there's something about this guy. I don't know who he is. He best be good, because if you were to rock on a pitch like that, the first thing I'm doing is going, he best be good, is all I'm saying. But can someone reach out, and you're going to see the picture come up on screen, can someone reach out and tell me who this guy is? An absolute legend. So the social media post goes to Rugby Meme on Instagram, and this bloke who's sporting a skinhead, tape round his head, and this thing dangling out the back that looked a bit ginger. Bit of news. Now, we always know there's a bit of news, some good news, some bad news, some boring news, but some news that's come back around again. And World Rugby, they've been active. They've been changing some laws over the summer. They've changed the Women's World Cup and the Men's World Cup to just the World Cup. So it's not allowed to be called the Rugby World Cup for women or the Rugby World Cup for men. It's just called the Rugby World Cup. Anyway, they've been active over the summer. A few law changes, as we've seen, but something that's come back round is, we've spoken about it before actually, the Pacific Islanders got left behind really over recent years. Funding has been an issue, politics within certain unions with Tonga, Fiji, Samoa. But World Rugby have come out and basically said that there's been an influx of money over the last kind of 4 years, and they've wanted to make a point out of it. RugbyPass, we've published a platform about it, and they're expected, they've obviously gone round and done some digging and worked out, or maybe they know how much they've invested, but they've claimed to have invested £20 million into Pacific Island programmes, and they partnered with the 3 unions, I beg your pardon, in a high performance support programme for the players to get some playing overseas, education in the game. And anyway, they're saying that they've invested £20 million since 2016 to 2019 into the game over there. So not bagging World Rugby, that's brilliant. If that is the case, that is brilliant. And we're seeing now more stories coming out. Dan Leo in the summer, I watched one as well. I can't remember what it was, but it was brilliant. Cow, the winger, his story. If you've not seen it, you should watch it. Just type in Cow and Dan Leo, Pacific Islanders on YouTube, and it will come up. Unbelievable story about how they get left behind. You know, they're living on the islands of Fiji, living off the land, running around in their bare feet, and next thing they end up in France, you know, or in England, something that's completely foreign to them. So I think the profile being raised for the Pacific Islanders and the individual players is massively important, because let's not beat around the bush. They're the best players in the world. They are built to play rugby. So a big shout out to World Rugby. If you have done that, which I'm sure you have, you ain't gonna lie, and hopefully we will see these Pacific Island nations growing, thriving, and producing the worldie players that we're seeing on show. So I mentioned the Augusto P show scenario when I mentioned the world rankings with Wales when they went to number 1, and then it changed over. New Zealand went back, and then Ireland had an opportunity to go. But you told me an interesting thing actually that P show said. Do you want to share?
Yeah. So the head of World Rugby, well, I don't know if he's on par with Bill Beaumont, but he's basically said it's all a load of bullshit, and that he doesn't like how the world rankings work, and that he's committed to saying that he's going to change it.
There you go.
Sorry, Wales.
Well, to be fair, I agree with you. You know, the world rankings, and I only found this out, it blew my mind. So if you're ranked number 1 and you play anything below you, you're going to get less points naturally than if you're ranked 10th and you're playing teams in and around you, because you can't gain any high points because you're playing lesser teams. So P-Show's come out and said that it's not fake, because if you look at it, it is a general consensus of who the best kind of teams are. But I don't really know what it matters really. I think that, isn't it when they come to do the input in to the fixtures and to the World Cup pools? I actually don't know. We probably could do with looking into it. But P-Show's right, fair play. He's involved in World Rugby, like you said. He's really high up. You know, you've got Gosper, you've got the famous Bill Beaumont, and P-Show as well. Unbelievable scrum half. Unbelievable. Lovely bloke as well. Great head of hair. But he said it doesn't matter. I don't think it matters, but some people do think it matters. What else have we got? Bit of news actually from the Scotland-France game. Bit of old news, but new news now. Gabler-Eggers. How do you say his? Gabler-Aris? No idea. Basically, the second row, Gabler-Aris, who got a 6-week ban for hitting my mate John Barclay on the back of the head, that never got picked up by the TMO, didn't get picked up by Nigel Owens, who's missing a few things at the minute, old Nigel Owens. He's missed Carney's clothesline on Curry. People are questioning him. Nigel, you still there? You still there, or you're dipping off a bit? Anyway, this one was missed, probably by the TMO. Anyway, got a 6-week ban. Gabler-Aris. I can't even say his name. Maybe find out his first name properly. I should know his name, really. Anyway, he's appealed, and he's had his ban reduced from 6 weeks to 3 weeks by a lot of the French media moaning about it, which is fair enough, because Scott Barrett got a similar ban. He got 3 weeks for a similar incident. Yep, so Gabler-Aris is going to the World Cup. Fair play. Look, I don't like guys seeing getting banned. You know, what fair's fair. What else? Talking of New Zealand, Scott Barrett, obviously he'll be back for the World Cup. I don't know if he's picked, actually. I've not seen their team. But what I have seen is that Owen Franks has been dropped. The stalwart, the hero. And you mentioned...
Not to be confused with his brother, Ben Franks, who's at Northampton, which Sky Sport reporters don't seem to understand.
So Sky Sports have missed a trick here. This was their moment, their big moment to reveal the news that Northampton prop Owen Franks, and as the Northampton fans out there know, it's his brother Ben that's at Northampton, won't be going to the World Cup. So there's some breaking news that Sky Sports broke, but it was wrong news. Owen Franks, and he's had his say in an article on RugbyPass. I mean, you're naturally not going to be happy, but everyone's going to come to an end, and he has had a hell of an innings. To get that many caps in the coalface at the front row in some of the most successful seasons we've ever seen in any sporting team in history on the planet, I mean, that's an unbelievable accolade. So, New Zealand are in a little bit of a transition period. And is he going to be missed? I'm not too sure. He was coming towards the end. New Zealand now look beatable. But Owen Franks, fair play, and we will be seeing you soon. And that's it. Episode 1, Don't Mess with Jim. Hope you like the full episode. If you don't worry. If you do, that's great. And we will see you next week for more news, social media roundup, and just a bit of bant, eh?